Hello students, I hope you all are doing good. So this is going to be your first English language class and I'm going to teach you how to write descriptive composition writing. Now this topic is quite familiar, right? You all know what is descriptive composition writing. It is nothing but you need to describe a person, place, experience, object and a memory in detail, right? And then when you write composition, you all know that you have to divide it into introduction, body and conclusion. But in descriptive writing, before you introduce, you must give a title, and it needs to be very impressive and attractive. Title is very important, you cannot miss. Then introduction, again important part, it needs to be very catchy, impressive and attractive. Body, you divide into as many paragraphs as you want. Normally what you do, you just give one whole paragraph for body and that goes on for 2-3 pages, so it doesn't look good. Presentation matters, right? So describe it in detail and logically construct it and give the division. Conclusion part, again, avoid these things. For example, when you write like this in conclusions, so it can be seen that, avoid all these things, right? Don't give a very flat conclusion, engage your reader. Now, descriptive writing is a very fun and enjoyable thing to write. For introduction, what do I mean by introduction? When you introduce, you begin with something very interesting, an opening sentence that will show the examiner that what the description is about. Describe something that will help the examiner to visualize, right? You need to draw it with your own words. For example, if you have to write anything. About, for example, you will visit a hill station, right? So how would you begin? So you can begin like this, that is, the beautiful surroundings and the majestic hills in the background captivated me, something like this. So you use short simple sentences. You see, no need to use flowery and ornamental sentences. Avoid all those things, right? Stick to the past tense. There shouldn't be any sudden change of tense. Normally what you do, you begin with past, then you move on to present and you end with future. So don't do that. Stick to the past tense. Include some important details, right? And also describe less likely aspects of the scene. For example, if you have to describe a seaside, you just don't talk about waves and beaches, you also talk about the seabirds and the noise around, right? Now, very important thing is that in descriptive composition, what you do is you need to use the combination of senses. Now what do I mean by that? That is the use of sight, sound, taste, smell and touch. For example, sight, right? All these things brings life to the scenes that you have described. For sight, if let's take the example of hill station, so you can write like this, that the mountain slopes being covered with tall and green trees made it look very grand, right? So you're giving a picture kind of a thing where the examiner is actually seeing what you are trying to write. For sound, you can write like this: the chirping and twittering of the birds gave me a sense of comfort and satisfaction. So you give all these write all like this and your composition looks very good. For body, you can write like this: my mind was no longer agitated by the waves of thoughts and I began observing the place. And if you need to conclude it as like conclude your composition like this: as I left the charming place, the mesmerizing and therapeutic experience brought with it new hopes for the future. So you're engaging your examiner and you are giving this kind of a message that there's going to be new hopes for the future. Now, when you get your question paper, right, and you see all those options for composition writing, you need to choose it very wisely. Choose a topic in which you are comfortable. No need to do any experiment, no need to try something new. Just stick to what in which you are comfortable. So the moment you get option like this, road accident, for example, let's take a very easy example for descriptive composition writing. If you have to write on this road accident, how will you go about? So for immediately you think about the title. You can give slogan as your title, like alert today, alive tomorrow, speed thrills but kills. And if you even if you cannot remember all these things, you just write a simple title, for example, an awful day. And then immediately you plan out. Planning is very important. You're getting 15 minutes time, so you utilize that time and plan it out. So you can write the topic in the center, and then you brainstorm and you jot down the points that what your composition need to have. For example, you need to take a particular day, describe the weather surrounding, what you are doing, why you are on the road, what is the purpose, are you alone or somebody else is there, how the accident occurred, how you have witnessed, right? Whether the accident was met by a woman, man, group of people in car, bus. Talk about death, injury, what actually happened, what was your feeling at that moment, arrival of the police officers, reaction of the people, what was your role in that, helping them, how you carried them to the hospital. So you plan it out, and then you end with a message and realization. This is how you conclude, right? You give a message or kind of thing, and you realize. So let's quickly see the example, that how could you begin if you get a topic like this, road accident. For example, you can begin like this: it was a very cold morning, as it had been raining very heavily the previous night. My sister volunteered to drive me to school. I had overslept, and as a result was running a bit late for school. We got into the car hurriedly. The road was already congested with traffic. So as I told you, you describe the situation, you plan it out, whether you're alone and somebody else was there, right? How you were, why you were on the road, and then you begin your body like this: my sister was a careful driver and refused to drive fast on the slippery road. I was lucky she was such a resolute and careful person, because we witnessed a tragic accident. And then you can conclude by saying this: I was late for school. I informed my teacher of the accident, and both felt that it could have been prevented if the drivers had been more careful. Innocent lives would not have been lost otherwise. So this is what you have realized: the drivers should have been more careful, right? Your realization, you're giving a message. So this is how you can go about. So you have to make sure that you don't do any spelling mistakes, no grammatical errors. That's very very important. And now you are having time, so practice. Composition needs lot of practice. The more you practice, you know, the composition, it becomes the best. So you need to practice a lot, read a lot of articles, read newspapers, so you can practice on topic like this. Like for example, describe a town where you want to take your mother, why you want to take her, describe the town. So I think you can practice on this topic. It's a very simple topic. Plan it out and do it. Thank you. Study well.